Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here, and always a pleasure to have you out there in the audience. You might recall 2 or 3 weeks ago I had a couple of school committee persons here on the show. I got a lot of comments about the show. People who watched it enjoyed it. People found it to be interesting in the sense that some of the things that were said they weren't aware of. And I've interim invited the two gentlemen back, and they are Gabe Andrade and Joseph Martins. I've been on the school committee for quite a long time. If you watch the school committee, you'll hear them speak, and of course speak at length about the issues in regards to the school system. I call it the school system. I know some people call it the school district. I don't probably no difference, but anyway, welcome, Joseph Martins.
Thank you. Prior
superintendent, Diamond Vocational High School. What an accolade that is! What an honor. And Gabe Andrade, you were on the Diamond School Committee.
Yes, I was.
Did you serve on a committee when?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he was superintendent when I started.
Oh, you still get along, huh?
He was still get along.
Well. Talking about superintendents, the Fall River School District is now in a somewhat of a tizzy in the sense that the superintendent has applied for another job or a job elsewhere as superintendent, and that's in Barnstable. And well, is it going to come to a climax this week, Joe?
Well, I don't think it should. I think it's too close to the new, so-called new school committee, and the new school committee is going to have to work with the superintendent, and the superintendent will have to work with the new school committee, so that I think the decision on a contract extension should be made by the new school committee.
Next year.
Next year in January. Well, I give at least the month of January for the new people that were elected to be able to update themselves on the material, and then perhaps in February to make a decision at that point. There's really no urgency.
But that presupposes she's still around.
True.
If she takes the job, then that question is moot. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I wish her well in whatever she does in there. But my position is that it should be postponed, carried forward to the next school committee.
So if she stays, if she indicates she wants to stay as superintendent, Gabe, do you think a postponement is in line of?
Yes, if there were no change or very minimal change on the committee, then essentially the people that there now would be dealing with her afterward. That's not going to be the case. When you consider the mayor, there's a changeover of 3 out of 7 people. That's big, and these are the people who are going to be dealing with her for the next 2 years. Now, you asked initially whether we thought it was going to be to end on Monday. I think there's a very good chance that it will, one way or the other. The superintendent, according to WSAR, has her interview tomorrow in Barnstable.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Correct, and on Friday night, according to WSAR, they will be making a decision, which means she will know before Monday. We have our meeting Monday, so one way or the other, I think either she will get a contract or she will have decided, will tell us that she will take the Barnstable job, and I think there's a very good chance that she will take the Barnstable job.
But if she, for some reason, is not chosen, because she's a finalist.
That's correct.
3 finalists?
That's correct. And
if she's not chosen, do you think it's best that this be left for next year?
I would say so, yes.
Given the change. I agree with that. it's best for the school district. And it'd be left to the new school committee people that have to work with the superintendent, vice versa, has to work with the new school committee.
Now, her contract is over?
No, I think she goes until, it's either the end of July, it's either July 1st or July 30th. I can't remember exactly which, but she will be here for, unless she has another arrangement with Barnstable, assuming that she gets the job. But she will be here for the remainder of the school
All right,
year.
so if she doesn't get the job in Barnstable, or she decides not to take it, she's still going to be around
Correct.
until July.
Even if she decides not to get a new contract here, she's still here until the summer.
July. Now,
That's the reason why there's no urgency.
she's going to be here.
She's going to be here, and therefore, it's more of working with people. And who is going to be the decision-making. And, yeah.
Now, if she does stay until July, then there'll be, and she indicates she wants to stay on as superintendent in the Fall River School District, then there'll be a series of negotiations. Does the school committee actually, as a body, negotiate with the superintendent, or is it the attorney for the school committee?
Well, the attorney usually acts as a go-between, and that happens not just with the superintendent. It happens with most of the unions. This last series of negotiations we had with the teachers, we actually did it differently. The committee actually sat with the FREA to negotiate the contract with them. But very often, what happens is you don't meet face to face. For instance, the superintendent would send us a set of proposals. We would examine it, and it would come through the attorney. Then we would examine it. We would take a look, and we would send a counter proposal again through Attorney Assad.
And the mayor sits. I believe it's by charter. The mayor sits on the school committee.
That's correct.
So the mayor would be there. Reviewing, entertaining those
Yes,
proposals.
as a voting individual.
Well, that I guess it's going to come to somewhat of an end, in a sense, by this Monday. And you have a school committee meeting this Monday?
That's correct.
And where will that be held for the audience?
Was it?
I think it's at Cuss.
I think it's at Cuss. I think the
Because last time was at Morton.
I think it's at
The
All
Cuss.
right, so people out there interested in sitting in on the next school committee meeting, that's Monday, and if you're not sure where it is, you can always check with the school department, I imagine. Get in touch with the school department, apparently, but it seems it will be held at the Cuss Middle School, that's in the south end off of Bay Street. And what time does that usually start?
5:30.
5:30.
It used to be 6:30.
Wow,
This
that's
year
a
we
little
started
early,
at
huh?
5:30.
5:30. People just about get out of work.
Well, that's why I disagreed with that starting
Yeah,
time.
that changed at 5:30. Okay, so it starts at 5:30, but I guess if you get there at 5:45, 6 o'clock, you'll probably still be involved in some of the, or be able to. Well, let me ask you this too. I said involved. Can someone in the audience address the school committee?
It's a regular school committee meeting, and right off the start of the meeting is a public input time, so anyone can speak, as long as it's related to the agenda and not about football.
Okay, so you have an agenda sheet,
That's
and people can have pick up an agenda sheet there that night, Monday night, and speak on something that's on the agenda. How much time do they usually allow?
they have supposedly 3 minutes, but that is not strict, and that the person is allowed to continue on unless it starts to get where you're repeating over and over and over again.
Can't filibuster.
Right, absolutely so. Cannot filibuster, absolutely.
How
Good word.
how many are allowed to speak? Suppose 30 people want to speak.
If 30 people wanted to
minutes?
speak, we would have to allow them all to speak.
That's 90 minutes.
That's right.
Everyone gets a chance.
And yeah, absolutely, everyone gets a chance. And hey, that's the way it should be.
That's democracy.
That's
That's
right.
correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely so.
Okay, so there you go. If you want to speak, you get the 3 minutes, and well, it's a good opportunity. Well, let's move on to you brought some data in, Joe. You got some fresh information about scores, MCAS, is it?
Yes, there's been a lot of discussion on the radio and also on in the print with regards to position of very important people in Fall River as their support for the superintendent. While certainly everyone has a right to support whomever they wish, but as I have listened to some of this and read some of the print that from these VIPs, that I question as to whether or not they are fully aware of the data and are not making their position based upon what is told to them in there, because the data is
Right from the state?
different, and I think this data should be shared with the general public. This is from
Let me ask you, is this online?
This is online. This is public information.
Okay, and where did you obtain this? So if people
I
wanna
obtained
learn-
this for just about a half an hour ago from the Massachusetts Department of Education.
All right,
Well,
so-
it's actually, their name is Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Okay, people out there want to get this for their own personal use, and then you have it if you want to go Monday night and speak on this issue. And go ahead, Joel.
This data clearly states that, hey, yes, there is some growth. There is some improvement. And I thank the faculty and the school administrators for the work that they have done to improve. Unfortunately, the rate of improvement isn't sufficient to meet the 2017 goal of having all of the subgroups, the gap, as I've spoken about in the past, the proficiency gap from all students overall, those with disabilities, limited English proficient students, African American, the Pacific Islanders. These are all the subgroups. And with 2011 as the base year, it was, where were these children as far as their scores are concerned in English language arts and math and science? Right? Now, wherever they were in 2011 to 100% proficiency, which is here, then between here and here is called a gap. And the goal for 2017 was to cut this gap in half, so that if in 2011, the English language arts proficiency of a group of students was 80, then the gap between 80 and 100 is 20. So as a result, then by 2017, those students are supposed to be brought up to 90. That's the meeting of the goal in there. And as I see this, there is some improvement, there is some increase. Agreed. However, the issue that I complain is not so much the growth, which I know the administration wants to keep pounding on and emphasizing, we're growing, we're growing, we're growing. I agree we're growing in there. But indeed, are we going to meet the goal?
So I guess you're emphasizing or bringing to light that the rate of growth is not what has
Yes.
been projected.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. So that I look at this as where do we stand on a percentile scale? Right? That means that where are we? If you're, and that's standard. If you take a test and you get a 50 on it, what does that? That's in the 50 percentile. What does that mean? That means 50% of the students who took that test did better than you, and 50% of the students did less than you. Now, if your standard, if your is a 60, then that means 40% did better than you, and 59 or 60% did less in there. And the percentile ranking of some of these schools is astounding. And I'm saying, look, we're putting our resources in the wrong direction or in the wrong place, my feeling.
Gabe, you want to get in on this?
Yeah,
Have you been able to look at these?
I have not been able to look at these. I think they're only available today, I guess, for the first time.
Yeah, today was the first time.
So, in fact, I would tend to think this probably would not be on Monday's meeting because having received this information just recently, I would bet that this would not be on the agenda for Monday.
No, I'm going to have it readily available.
But in a sense, this is almost sort of a game. Joe explained what the original intent was.
I think you touched on this at the last program. Go ahead, continue on.
The state's standard is growth. We had or improvement. We had discussed this the last time we had met. So it's not your raw scores, what you actually score on a test. It's your improvement scores. So you can have, and we had discussed last time, where you can have a school in Fall River that is rated a level 1 school, which is one of the better schools, but maybe they are in the let's say the 30th percentile in the state, but you have a school in Somerset that's in the 45th or 50th percentile as a level 1 school, or maybe a level 2 school, actually. So again, it's
that's a big difference.
That's correct, but it's all based on your improvement. So you can have a school that's in a lower percentile statewide in Fall River compared to a school in another community which is in a higher percentile statewide, but they're rated a lower level than Fall River because their improvement was not as quick.
But they're up high at the start with.
That's correct.
So that's
correct.
Kind of an skewed statistics.
It is, but be that as it may, that is the state's standard. So based on the state's standards, we are doing okay. Does that mean that we should be exactly totally happy about it? No, I mean there's certainly there's a lot more improvement to be had. Now the other thing that Joe said about reaching that particular standard, having halved the gap by 2017, I would guarantee you that when 2017 comes, the state will change everything, because that's what happened under No Child Left Behind. If you recall, there was a certain standard
to make the things look better.
Because
Yes.
it's not just what happens is the consequences, or what you would have expected to be the consequences of not meeting those goals by 2017, all of a sudden disappear, because that happened under No Child Left Behind, the previous.
So the consequence of this crime is to have your head chopped off, but
it probably won't happen because
you're going to change the consequence.
It's not just Fall River that will be in trouble. A lot of communities in the state will not reach those standards, and they're not about to sanction, maybe half of the school districts in the state. So guaranteed, something else will happen. There'll be some other regulation or whatever. Who knows what it will be at this point? But
2017 is coming quickly. I mean,
very quickly.
A few more weeks, we'll be in 2016. So when they say 2017, is that the
June 2017.
June
That's when
2017.
it has to be supposedly done. And unfortunately, well, we don't like the data, so therefore we're going to change it so that it makes it look like we did something. And
Or we're starting fresh with something new.
yeah, starting from absolutely,
Yeah.
and that frosts me.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the issues that the Department of Education has stated is that that this goal of 2017, reducing the gap by 50%, is very ambitious. That's their words. However,
So
it
they're
is
already
also
hedging.
doable.
They're also they're already hedging.
Oh yeah, absolutely so. In there, and wait a minute, I can play any game you want me to play. Just tell me what the rules are.
Yeah, that's always a good idea.
In there, so, yeah. Well, you look at some of this, and while you're looking at growth, but I look at, okay, where do you stand compared to other schools of the same as you? Now, here, that the on this oh my goodness gracious, I've come drawing a blank here. On the rating, the percentile rating, I find that to be a better measure. Where are we? You're supposed to be measuring schools of your same type in here. And when you look at this one here, right, this is the same thing as last year's. This is Durfee in there. And, its percentile ranking is a 9.
9.
Right.
So that means that there are 81 that are doing better?
Right.
Percentage?
No, 91 doing better.
Okay, yeah,
that's right.
91.
And 80 and 90 doing, I'm sorry, 9 doing less.
Now, that's not, on a scale of 1 to 100, 9 is...
Yeah, it's
is
on a
almost
scale of
invisible.
1 to 100. The school's progress
So
toward...
what does that mean in a general sense when someone graduates from Durfee? Are they getting the same level of education as someone who graduates from Somerset or Dartmouth? Is there some sort of playing with the statistics there also, as far as graduation rates and the quality of the graduate?
I think it's very difficult to compare one school against another.
Well, let's take a graduate from Durfee and someone from another school, Westport or Dartmouth, and they take an examination based on arithmetic, English.
Well, they have the same standards in which they have to meet. Every school has that. You have to pass the MCAS test with, I think it was the minimum of 240,
I think so.
like that.
Okay, so before anyone graduates in the Commonwealth,
Yeah, every school has that. Now, if you're going to compare one high school against Boston Latin or that is like an elite school in there. The kids that go to there are quite intelligent, and that's not to say that the kids coming to Durfee are not. There are a lot of very bright kids in our school system, but we're looking at all the students, and my concern is that the resources are not being placed in the right direction.
Well,
okay, I guess the general, go ahead.
And this ninth percentile, this is based on essentially MCAS and the MCAS scores, the growth from year to year, and the gaps in terms of your special populations, and whatnot. So all of those factors go into that. It does not mean that some good things are not happening at Durfee, and that we do not have good students at Durfee, which we do in both cases.
So I guess we're getting down to the end of the program. I guess when we bring back the superintendent into this discussion, are you saying that the high marks and the accolades for the superintendent might be misplaced because the statistics show different?
Well, I'm not going to state if those people that were the VIPs that were making the statements are, you know, if they took this data, took the time to go to the Department of Education website and research it, would they make the same information? So I don't know. I don't know their motivation. I'm not going to accuse anyone of anything in there. However, we're not, if that goal of 2017 stands, we are not going to make it. I made that many, many times in there. We have some great kids in our school system. We have some great teachers in our school system, but the teachers need help. And we're not putting our resources in where, in my opinion, as to where they should be.
Gabe, you want to add anything to this?
I have been maybe less critical about the scores and how we've done on that than in terms of other factors, because as I stated before, this is what the state expects. This is the game as they've outlined it. So if we're meeting certain standards by that, then based on what they're asking, we're doing okay. Is it the best way to rate schools? I don't think it is. I don't think the results of a one test is really enough, sufficient, good evaluation of schools and their students and their teachers. I'm critical of other things in the system, specifically the low morale and the turnover within the system.
Why is there low morale?
My impression, and there are any number of reasons why that could be. You could talk about pay. You know, teachers leave for better pay or whatever. But my feeling is working conditions. I don't think they're working conditions.
Large class sizes? Large
class sizes. A lot of micromanaging of how teachers conduct their classes. The evaluation process.
That's all part of the resources that need to be changed, and it's within the superintendent's power to do that.
Well, gentlemen, half hour goes by pretty quickly. Very interesting subject. A lot of things that you've brought out. I'm sure the public is not always aware of. I'm happy that you're here, and maybe we can get you back again soon, and we'll find out if the superintendent is here or not, and any other topic in regards to the school district that needs to be discussed. So, thank you out there for watching. I want to thank my guests, Gabe Andrade and Joseph Martins, and remember they just won re-election, so they'll be on the school committee come January with the new school committee, new members in the school committee. So watch them, and we'll see you. And don't forget the school committee meeting Monday. It ought to be interesting. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.